Hello, everybody. Brian here from quantlabsnet.com. Today is December 10th, 2024. Just want to say thanks to everybody who's watched the last series of videos on quantum computing, Rust, and what I'm going to show you here, the FPGA, and specifically the one on Optiver and what they could be using as secret sauce for their FPGA conversion. So, for those that are interested in learning about FPGA, how to go about doing their own research, development, practice research for potential career in this. I came across this article posted a few days ago, and cheap FPGA PCIe development. So again, I'm not an expert in this. I'm just pointing people where to go. If people are in the comments in the YouTube want to tell other viewers what they're doing and what hardware they're using, please, by all means. This way, we can all learn through these videos and my community that I've been talking about, quantlabsnet.com. And here is a free one. That's our private one, actually. But if you go over to quantlabsnet.com, you can go over to our home, and then there's two paths you can go. You can just opt in here or on the Learn tab, get our free C++ HFT book as well about this sort of stuff. Anyways, back to the article here. So this is on hackaday.com, and you can see here they talk about uh, FPGA project inside a PC. You'll need a fairly expensive development board that plugs into the bus. But apparently, this website, I think Circuit Valley, found these boards, the IBM RS-45 boards, that are still more than a PCIe board with an Intel FPGA on board. Intel took over one of the bigger players, Xilinx, is it Altria or one of those big providers. We can kind of go through that in a minute. But some of these boards may work. I can't say. Surplus market for around $20. Now this is probably within the U.S. Has a Cyclone board on it, 21,000 logic elements, and a little over 750 kilobytes of memory. Power management, few connectors, JTAG header. Now this is all going over my head. This is all electrical hardware that beyond me. Surface mount on a pin header. I know what that is. External JTAG probe, blah, 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 blah. So situation reminds us a little of the RTL SDR device. Uses a programmable device to perform nearly all of its functions. It is subject to your reprogramming. What would you do with a custom PCIe board? Golly gee, I'd want to learn about leading into HFT. Of course, you're not going to do very much on these older boards. You tell us, need a refresher on the bus. We can help you, thinking of building some sort of FPGA accelerator, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so here's some of the comments that came about. Use the FPGA for there are many PCIe to RS 232 chips. They don't have control signals for the receiver. Call IBM to upgrade your mainframe remotely because they had redundant hardware pre-installed. It's just how they did business. You got a mainframe in your garage. That's how Apple and Hewlett Packard started. Um, Redundant hardware, strictly speaking, FPGA is flexible. It can be pushed into the vicinity of its limits. Blah blah blah. So specifically, this is excellent news. I'm sure the prices will skyrocket after this, but the work itself is brilliant. Um, they have skyrocketed apparently in the UK now, £60 or 72 euros. Some more tech info. So on eBay, to get the cheapest, if they work, 250 plus $70 from China in upside down Australia for us. And there's more tech stuff. Again, I can't go on about it because I'm not an expert, but interesting path to go. All right, so let me give you some other options here. First, I'm going to talk about MATLAB, and I'm only speaking this out of experience from 10 plus years ago. So these are the most popular programming languages according to this software programming index, TOB. When you look at MATLAB, it's, over the years, I'd even say over the decades, it's still hanging in there, the top 20, um, at number 15, right behind Rust. A lot of these programming languages go up and down, but I find that quite interesting. MATLAB is still popular. So what can you do with MATLAB with FPGA? So FPGA can be somewhat worked on with MATLAB, probably one of the, dare I say, easier paths to go. There is a post about it on Reddit, so I'll show you that in a minute. So there's FPGA, there's the language. So it's usually done through Simulink, which is part of MATLAB. And again, remember that MATLAB is very cheap at the beginning, but when you want to add on your different packages or toolboxes, they become very, very expensive. I'll show you the price for this option, and it's not cheap. So, anyways, but they have the ability to write the register transfer logic using hardware description language. And again, it's going to be one of these two manufacturers, VHDL or Verilog. The goal is to match the functionality of the algorithm, hence what I've also talked about past videos regarding high frequency trading. Um, Operating on a continuous stream of data, and again, that's again sitting on an exchange, and where these type of hardware servers would sit right on the exchange. This is the direction, and most likely, a lot of the larger HFT shops that I've highlighted in the last week, the name brand multi-billion-dollar operations are how they operate using these boards. So if you are wanting to go into this to do this on your own, do it yourself, this is the path to do it. This is probably the more polished way to do it, but it's not cheap. So again, you have to also do verification here. Works as intended for the FPGA programming. Simple as VHLD test box, test bench, or the Verilog one. Use a methodology used as universal verification methodology. So again, once you start to know this stuff, you're adding value on your resume. When you do go through a technical interview, you practice this, know it, breathe it inside out. You have a decent chance to pass these interviews without needing to have a fancy pants PhD or master's degree. So you have a fighting chance here to go down this path, but it comes at a price. So again, transform the RTL to a digital logic gate to meet register clock frequencies, goals with minimizing use of the resources on the FPGA, then integrated, da 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 da. So I'll put all these links in my blog post. So here's the FPGA programming with MATLAB and Simulink. So again, we've talked about the software support on the two major manufacturers. One Xilinx and the other one I can't remember, Altera, I believe. Um, so they support those major ones. Now, question is, would MATLAB support these little dinky PCI boards? I don't know. I don't think so. It's not listed here, and they're not current. But again, you have a chance here to maybe get something going. I don't know. But here's the general logic. You have your analysis, the algo, your streaming of your market data, and then it's all converted into fixed point through the hardware architecture. You put it on your little RTL, as it said, and then you have your boards here on the FPGA, and boom, Bob's your uncle. So these are all the steps you need to go through to make this happen. So MATLAB can support it, and let's go over, is it worth doing this path? From my perspective, it is, but if you have a cool $50,000, okay? So let's go through this again. That's the price, 50K. So a person asks, is it worthwhile to go through? Um, okay. So in here, Downside, it cost me $50,000 to have this capability in my company, but it has rapidly decreased development time, which ripples through the pricing and hence competitiveness in the marketplace. The key thing is it's about selecting the right tool for the job. My chief engineer wrote up our approach here. Title is deliberately provocative. One thing for sure, we cannot design large FPGA like it is in the 90s anymore. Okay. Now there's some recommendations again. Hey, this is Reddit. FPGA with some modules will generate HDL that you can't use to integrate to a larger design. That's about it. The process of synthesizing HDL and generating the bit stream is still handled by the vendor tools. And again, supposedly MATLAB supports these big vendors. I guess this guy finds it funny. So there's two ways to do this on the FPGA. So the proprietary programming language on MATLAB's M code and from Simulink. So those are the two paths you can go. The stuff done in M code is not refined as Simulink, and I never worked much with it, so I can't talk about it. Guess what? I've looked at it, I played with it, and I don't think it's changed much over the last decade. I worked for many years with Simulink. Generating HDL can do both VHDL and Verilog for control and image processing. It provides this is the key here, a very nice higher level of entering design graphically. Okay, and that's what Simulink provides. It's a powerful tool working with all the different Simulink call it icons, tools that you drop onto a general uh, canvas, I guess, and you can build your logic through the Simulink visual tool. It's very powerful. Some of the image processing libraries provide very extracted filters and other blocks and generate thousands of lines of HDL. Not only can you do this with HDL, when you convert it, which is again the 50,000 plus option, you can also convert it to both C++. Unfortunately, at the time, it was not very readable. And as far as I know, it may do assembler as well. So it's quite interesting how it works. But again, it's not readable when you try to convert it. And you could probably do the same kind of thing. And I think there are some trading shops that use Simulink to generate their trading logic, put it into the Simulink, and then generate the code from it. Or and it's been like this for a decade plus, you can also work with the FPGA as well. Simulink shines when dealing with complex math by automating most of the fixed point optimization and even implementing floating point. So I guess kudos there. Just drop a transfer function, set parameters, and the HDL is out of it is very good. So again, this is from an expert. State machine design also pretty good, very easy graphical entry with all the simulation features. That's something worth looking into. Benefit of simulating stuff in MATLAB before generating the HDL, making use of all their libraries and analysis toolboxes. And this is where MATLAB shines. It's not going to be optimal because you're going to run it through a converter. So it's not going to be, low latency and all that because you're using a tool to convert the code. For production, I don't know if you can really use it, but just for learning, this might be worth the ticket to get you into the high priced quarter million, 350, half a million, just base pay for those type of jobs in these HFT firms. Uh, Nothing is for free. You'll pay considerable dollars for it. I wouldn't be surprised. You'll go anywhere from 50 to 100K. As far as I know, the license back in the day was for 4 years. So you get 4 years of updates. And then after that, you got to pay another 50, 100K or whatever for the next 4 years. So you're paying 50,000 to support the updates from MATLAB for 4 years. Okay. So you're breaking it down over 4 years is considering what you're getting might be doable if you're willing to put in that type of investment. Another downside is version control. The Simulink models are not easily comparable and difficult using the diff tool outside of MATLAB. So everything's got to be done in MATLAB. Like that's why you're paying big money for it. If you're doing DSP, it is well worth any of the downsides. To be honest, I can't even imagine doing DSP in FPGA without Simulink these days. So these are more experts in this field, and this is the FPGA subreddit. So this is not a small group here. Okay, these are the experts here supposedly on this topic of FPGA. I was using Simulink for this in the late 2000s. Version control problem has always something that they promised to fix. That's 20 probably years ago. I guess they haven't done it for 15 years. Biggest problem at the time was that the FAE I'd supported from the left and the company and was felt was someone not so technical. It was really hard for just not impossible at the time to parameterize the models I was building. Again, this is very specific in the world of trading, so parameterize the models. Final problem is you're locked into Simulink. It's often hard enough to find someone willing to take over your HDL, let alone MATLAB. It's not an easy language, this HDL, whatever, Verilog or the other one. So be aware of that. But if you're just wanting to stay locked in this space for a while, equivalent of using Q with KDB, you can do the same and be very well paid for it. But the longer you do it and you want to step outside of it and go back into more popular stuff that has more market demand like C++, be aware that that could be a risk for your career. Just, take that as a note. But if you're running your own shop and you're trying to do what the big HFT shops, this might be well worth the investment and bring in people that are experts as long as you can afford it. Model Composer, formerly System Generator, is 1K add-on to the Vivado. That's dirt cheap in the EDA world. Stay away from this. Just learn to write effective Verilog, SV, and VHDL. That might be well worth advice. But again, when you are moving into this space to learn, I don't see any problem using MATLAB and Simulink. But again, I don't know if it's readable, if you can interpret it, is it optimized? That's another question. So again, another tip here: avoid at all costs for anything other than rapid prototyping. Rapid prototyping. It's like with Python. Python, it can be, and typically it can be used when you have a trading idea using something like Jupyter. When you have a trading idea, use Python to prototype the trading idea, code it up, run it, maybe even backtest it. And then once you're happy with it, there are shops that have coders that will take that code from Python plus the trading idea and implement it into something like low level C++ using all the house libraries that those HFT shops have. So that's just another way of doing it when it comes to um, writing the raw code as opposed to the rapid prototyping. HDL Coder has actually gotten much better over the years. It can still be a struggle to use if you're using M code function blocks or anything with logic, with control logic. But some of the signal processing type applications I have used it for, I haven't been that upset about the code it produces. It's still more inefficient than my hand coded design, but the trade is I can get something on hardware much more quickly. So again, it's like Python. Python can be slow to run, but the rapid pace of developing and coding in Python is immense. So there's different ways to look at it, just like what you're getting here. Create FPGA sources with Perl. That does not make me a Perl programming tool for FPGAs. That's true. I don't know how you do that with Perl, but hey, if you can do it, you can do it. MATLAB is an HDL. It's a programming language. It's getting compiled in a machine code for your processor to run. MathWorks has libraries available for MATLAB and Simulink that help you generate HDL as opposed to doing it with VHDL or Verilog. But that's it. Now, again, is it optimized? I don't think a lot of the managers would be happy using this type of methodology with MATLAB and Simulink for production. But again, for learning and prototyping, it's fine. Everything else has to be done through Quartus, Vivado, or whatever other confusing software your FPGA vendor provides. So there you go. That's the equivalent of your IDE to get this working. MATLAB isn't really used much for that stuff either. Processing data where MATLAB shines, image and signal processing. So again, signal processing can be used for trading environments, but for actual trading is a different story. MATLAB and Simulink are terrible tools for digital design entry, limited capacity. Remember, this is 2 years ago. Simulink crap may be workable for quick and dirty prototyping. Nothing new there. For long-term supportable and sustainable design, they are terrible. And again, these are experts. Good for describing modeling DSP submodel, shitty for anything else. We use it sometimes we have tight deadlines and more work than we have staffing. I wouldn't be surprised a lot of these people commenting here are probably from the HFT world. We don't have a good library of signal processing primitives, but using the HDL coder represents a certain amount of technical debit or debt. You can really own the design as you have to pay the license fee every time you need to make a change to the design. That can get expensive. HDL coder is really only good for signal processing type applications. The tool and the IP libraries are good for that. If you're doing something else like networking or crypto, it's definitely the wrong tool. Now, crypto, is that cryptography or currency trading? Question is, I don't know. MATLAB is MATLAB HDL code efficient, and it can create ASIC designs. I'd love to know that as well. I have a project and requirement that is need to use MATLAB for both processor and FPGA programming. So there you go. As I said before, if you want to learn more, I'm trying to kick off a community. If you go to quantlabsnet.com, go into into the learn, and in there you can get access to our HFT C++ book, what these shops are using to build out all the different um, infrastructure for their trading operation. If you go under groups under here under more, you can find our free community here as well. This one right here, the Quant Labs Net public group. In there, you can get for free all the news I post and anything else to hopefully talk and get other people going on about it. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.